Welcome to the Kingdom Culture Podcast that was created on purpose with a purpose to empower, uplift, and guide others to the center of God's perfect will. Kingdom Culture family, welcome back. And this is episode 2 of the Kingdom Culture Podcast. I'm so happy you're here. And today I wanted to talk about abandonment issues. In my own life, abandonment issues truly took a toll on me and framed the way that I looked at relationships, friendships, the way that I looked at myself. And I wanted to be vulnerable and bring out what I've gone through so that maybe somebody that could be going through the same thing can find some value and help in this video. So abandonment issues happen throughout your life, right? They can happen in your childhood years, your teenage years, and or when you're an adult, because abandonment issues are loss, neglect, and a parent absence, right? So we get those things, and from that, other things root out of it, right? And in my case, I grew up with my grandmother. My dad wasn't in the picture, and my mom wasn't in the picture either. So from the beginning, since I was little, I started to form these ideas of how others would treat me because of the way that my parents chose to, go on with their lives and our lives, and all of that stuff. So my abandonment issues actually rooted from childhood trauma and realizing like, oh, hey, so my dad has another family, my mom is in a whole nother country, and we just got dropped off with my grandmother. Obviously, there's more to that, but that's what I felt in my heart as a child. That's what I saw, and it was hard. I also felt in my heart to bring this out because, as we know, in the Hispanic community, there's a lot of one-parent households. So I wanted to be vulnerable and realize, like, hey, yeah, you know what? My mom's a trooper. She raised 5 kids on her own. But I just wish she was there more. I just wish she would have taken the time to be more present. And that could have probably helped a lot with all of these other issues that rooted out of my abandonment issues. So the first thing that I can think of about when growing up was fear of rejection. So I took some notes. Fear of rejection is when individuals that have abandonment issues feel overthink and are overly sensitive to signs of rejection or misinterpreting natural actions as abandonment. What I mean by that is, I'll bring it to me. People can just be taking their own time. People might just be wanting to stay away from their phones and not hit anybody up, or, they're busy with life. Maybe they got something that's keeping them preoccupied. To me, back in high school or, in my teenage years, to me, somebody that didn't reach out to me as much as I reached out to them meant that they were leaving my life. It meant like, oh, here we go again. They're going to leave. Like, I can't trust anybody. And I overthought a lot. I seriously had a hard time building healthy relationships. I had a rough time being able to trust that people would stay in my life. And I had a rough time maintaining healthy relationships as well. So, because for a long time I felt like my friends would leave. I was afraid that, if I truly let them in, if I told them what was really going on, they would leave me. So with that, it was hard for me to, open up and truly let somebody give me some advice maybe on how to deal with these emotions. It was hard for me to say, hey, you know what? I may look like the happiest person in the room. I may be the one, making you laugh all the time, but I need some advice. Right? Can we talk through these feelings that I have and everything else? Because it was hard. It was hard to trust that somebody was in it for the long term. So fear of rejection, right? And I think that first fear of rejection rooted because I felt like my dad rejected me when I was little. obviously he had another family. So like, okay, why did you have another daughter? Like, am I not good enough? My mom not being with us, it's like, wow, she left to a whole other country. Are we really that bad? And even when we got shipped to the U.S., I felt rejection from my grandmother, because the one person that we knew, the one person that was our safe space, the one person that we could call home, allowed us to just be shipped over to a whole new country without knowing anybody or anything, or even, anything at all. So the fear of rejection in my life was truly rooted from my childhood trauma. And with that came low self-esteem, right? So a constant fear of abandonment can, erode low self-esteem, causing individuals to doubt their self-worth and believe they are unworthy of love and acceptance. Unworthy of love and acceptance. And to me, that was very real, because I did not think I would be accepted for myself. I did not think I was good enough to be cared for. I did not think that I was good enough to be loved, because my parents didn't show me that from the beginning. I remember in high school I used to have good friends, and I would walk away from them and I would make these stupid little fights just so that I didn't have to deal with them, right? I didn't know how to handle when somebody wanted to truly, genuinely care and have me in their life. Another example I can give you is I used to have a boyfriend in high school, and he knew, it was a long relationship, it was pretty serious. He knew my background, he knew where I came from, he knew my hurts, he knew, just where my heart was at the time with this whole thing. And he tried his best to get me out of my anxiety, get me out of my depression. When I had depression episodes and we were hanging out, he would try so hard to get me up out of bed, and so we go out and do something, or go out and have some fun, and try to distract me. But all I did was portray the hurt, the trauma. I would get mad at him. I remember I would yell at him and I'd be like, "Leave me alone. You don't know what I'm going through." And it was that bad. So you know who you are. So I just want to thank you for having so much patience with my teenage self. I wish I was more self-aware about what was going on in here, because I know that it was just all projection, and I had no idea how to handle all of that, right? I didn't feel like I was deserving of that love and those cool friendships that truly wanted to know me and care for me and take care of everything, that I was going through. Anxiety. So anxiety could also be another trigger, especially in situations where separations and possibilities of rejection arise. So anxiety was a big thing for me. When I felt like I said before, when I felt like somebody was shifting their energies, or they weren't paying as much attention to me, or they weren't giving me the time that I thought I deserved, I would freak out in anxiety, be like, oh my God, they're going to leave. Like, what should I do? Should I go buy them something? Should I, tell them that I love them so much? Should I just be in constant connection with them? What should I do? And in all reality, it was nothing like that at all. They were just themselves. They had sports, they had school, they had tests, they had everything that I had growing up in high school. So I came to realize that anxiety was a big part of everything in my life. And another big thing that was brought up while I was going through this reflection is that a lot of anxiety came from one time. My big brother Americo and I, we grew up together since we were little, and he ended up going through his own little cycle of things and ended up leaving my mom's house and leaving to my aunt's house for a while. I don't know if it was like 3 months or 2 months, or I don't even know how long it was, but it felt like eternity. And I remember I felt so betrayed. It really hurt me, because I was like, how are you the one person other than my grandmother that had been with me since I was little, how are you going to leave me? Like, that's not fair. You are so selfish. Why would you leave me here? I don't know what to do. And I remember, I couldn't sleep. I was depressed. I was in anxiety. And I did not feel like myself until he came back. Until he came back and I felt like, oh, okay, cool, he's home. But that right there caused me so much anxiety, so that when I saw people that were trying to leave, I'd just be like, okay, go. I don't care anymore. Just go, leave. And I remember that trust issues arise from that. So that's another, thing that happens when you have abandonment issues, trust issues. It was hard for me to trust my brother and be vulnerable with him and be like, hey, bro, I'm going through this and this and this. Because, again, he had a ticket to fly from wherever, whenever he wanted. So, to me, it brought up trust issues that I portrayed onto other relationships and friendships. I never allowed myself to fully let somebody in with all this mess, because I felt in my heart that they were going to leave. I was like, why would I waste my time? Right? Why would I waste my time telling them like, hey, you know what? I'm really hurt because I feel like my dad left and didn't love me. Or, hey, you know what? I see what you're going through and I understand that. I always told everybody, like, get over it. Just shove it down and keep going. That was the mindset that I had growing up. Because being in a Hispanic household, that you wouldn't share your emotions or your feelings or your thoughts. It was just literally get on with life. Hard hits are going to come. You're going to get crumbled. Just build up your life again and keep going. Which is true, right? We have to be strong and realize that, we can't stay here. But it also would have been nice to hear like, yep, you can't stay here. Let's rebuild you up. But as you walk through the traumas and heal from them, step by step by step, not just bottling them all in and just, being back up. So a lot of trust issues. I couldn't, I remember I would say, if my own blood, if my own parents, if my own whatever, my own brother left me, why would I trust that some stranger that I met in high school isn't going to? And the truth is in high school, you have a lot of friends and you have different acquaintances, and half of them are not in my life anymore. But a few of them are. So the ones that are still in my life know where I come from. They have had grace and patience with me and have given me so much love and care that I'm so grateful that I was vulnerable enough finally to be like, hey, I'm so sorry that I was this way, and I'm so sorry that we got into these different disagreements because I didn't know how to deal with my emotions. I didn't know how to truly communicate what was going on. And I'm so grateful for those people. Truly, very, very grateful. And the last thing that I want to talk about that might be a thing that develops out from or roots from abandonment issues is codependency. So codependency means that you go to a certain person excessively for emotional support and validation. And for me in high school, that used to be my boyfriend at the time. I remember I would just, word vomit and would tell him a lot of things that would bother me, and I would have triggers and he'd have to deal with all of that during our time together. And I realized that, it was a lot. And I'm so grateful that he had the willingness to be able to handle all of that, to be able to do it with grace and care and love. But I self-sabotaged myself, right? And realized like, oh, no, this is not good for me. He's just going to leave me. We're too attached to each other. This is scary for me. So I ended the relationship. And I think things happen as they need to. We're both happily married now. We both have our own kids and everything's fine. But I did hurt that person a lot during high school years. And, I just wish I was self-aware to know that it was all projection and that I needed to deal with all of the bottled emotions, right? And this actually also happened to me recently. Not too long ago, there was a friend of mine that I go to for prayer, and we talk about the Lord and we pray for one another. But there was a season in my life where I was truly going through hardship, and I would call her for everything. I would make sure, like nobody else is going to know about this. We're going to just go to this one person, and I would cry to her. We would pray together. There was long hours of just texting and talking, and I'm so grateful that she had the grace to deal with all of that. But now that I am self-aware and I'm healed in some of these areas, I wish I would have realized that I was still doing this codependent thing, because it's okay to have people there, but you also don't want to drain them with everything. You also don't want to just, word vomit and just drop everything onto them, because I know that for my own self, it would be exhausting. So thank you so much for the people that knew how to handle that hurt and that trauma. But I'm so grateful that I'm self-aware now, and I know that I shouldn't codepend on people so much for my emotional health, because that's my job. It's up to me to change what I need to change. It's up to me to grow and realize, like, hey, slow down. You don't need another person for this. It's just going to be me and you. Me and you, which is me and the Lord for me. For you, it could be you and your therapist, or you and a person that you truly trust, and you know that they're not going to be overwhelmed or feel burdened by everything that you're telling them. So again, it's always so good to have good people in your life. But phew, that codependency still gets me to this day, and I'm learning, and I'm learning and I'm growing, and I realize that having codependency on your friends is not a bad thing, but when it comes excessive, it can be, right? It would lead for your friends to feel burnout, and a good amount of space is good, because then when you come back together, you're able to rejoice and enjoy each other's company more, because you have so much more things to catch up on and everything else, right? And with that, I also wanted to give you some insight on things that I've done that have helped me heal from all of these other things, these tendencies, these negative things that came rooted out of my abandonment issue. So the first one is self-awareness. Like I said, being self-aware is recognizing that I do have abandonment issues, and to try and understand where they were coming from has helped me heal. Understanding, like, okay, where in my life did I feel like this person didn't love me? Where in my life didn't I feel accepted? And that awareness has helped me pinpoint the different parts of me that I need to heal and accept and move on from, right? Another thing is I've been able to set healthy boundaries for myself. So I've learned that not all people are like me or communicate like me or love to text and call and be in constant contact with me, and building those boundaries up, not by saying, oh no, I can't text this person because they don't like to text, but realizing, like, people communicate differently, people have different schedules. So I give myself a healthy boundary of, like, okay, cool, I texted this person at this time, they're not going to reply, that's okay. Find something else to keep your mind busy, and have grace with that person. Don't take it personal. They have their own things. But having those mental checks with myself and healthy boundaries of, like, I'm also taking time for myself. I'm not being on my phone, not being on social media, and allowing myself to just sit with myself and have, journaling or reading the word or, doing those things, so that I don't project out abandonment issues or anxiety or rejection to the friends that I do have now, because I appreciate them so much and I love them so much. So I don't want to pour that negativity onto my friendships of today. And that's, it's also helped me build true and honest connections. And I know that these friends that I have now are going to be in my life forever, I hope. And if they're not, I'm going to let them go with grace and love, and still support them and love them from afar. And that's okay, right? Another thing I've been doing is challenging my negative thoughts. So in high school, I always had these thoughts, right, that I talked about, of like, no, they're going to leave. Why would I waste my time with them? Or no, they're going to hurt me. Why would I let them in? So I've been challenging those thoughts. Those negative thoughts of abandonment with positive, rational things. I replaced the negative thought with positive truth. I am loved. I am accepted. I am enough. I am worthy. And the Lord is the one that gives me all of those things. When people are not around, the Lord is around. When I can't reach out and talk to somebody about what I'm feeling, hey, you know what? I'm going to go into my little prayer corner, and the Lord's going to, help me through this. And for you, right, it might be your therapist. For you, it might just be you in your journal, writing down all of your emotions and sitting with them and realizing that you do have them. But for me, it's God, right? Another thing that I've learned to have with myself is a lot of patience, because healing from abandonment issues takes time. It takes time and effort. So allowing myself to, have grace, even when I have setbacks, has been great, because I have acknowledged my progress. I'm not where I used to be. Like, even, apologizing to some of my friends today of like, I'm sorry I dumped all of this on you. I know that it might be a lot. Or recognizing like, oh, hey, you know what? This person seems busy at this time right now. Let's take a break from hitting them up, not in a negative way, but like create this safe space so that they feel like they have this space to come back and talk to you, right? So having patience with myself and like realizing like, being aware of like, okay, cool. You know what? This is okay. Let's bring it back and create the space necessary for others to feel like you are going to welcome them and they're going to welcome you back into their life, right? And I can tell you that sometimes I still get caught up on the negative thoughts. But now I reframe, pray, and cast all of my worries onto the Lord. So that's the difference maker for me, my faith, the Lord, my relationship with Him. Before, I didn't know how to handle all of these emotions. I didn't know how to talk about them. I didn't know how to express them. But really, truly digging deep and praying about it and saying, God, why do I feel like this? What is this from? Has helped me realize and become aware of the things that I needed to change to be here today at peace, confident with my friendships and relationships, and knowing that, nope, they're not going to abandon me. If they go a different route, that's okay. The Lord has called them to a different direction in their life, and you can love them from afar, right? And it's also like journaling through my emotions and to truly take the negative and find the truth of who I truly am in God. And I want to leave you with this. It says, like a tree by the river, we find our strength rooted in God's love. So for me, that means that no matter what happens, no matter who comes and goes, no matter if this person is in my life now or tomorrow, and not tomorrow, I am going to love them. I am going to accept them. I am going to leave them with grace and be okay with the fact that they might not want to be in my life anymore. Why? Because God does the same. God shows us grace every day and allows us to make mistakes. And He just welcomes us back when we come back to Him, even if we walk away, right? So that's all I have for you today. And I want to leave you like this every single episode. Know that I love you, but the Lord loves you more. Always, always, always. Don't forget to subscribe and share. And I hope that you return for episode 3 next week. See you guys later. God bless.